watch me breaking, and I swear you're falling into me, touch me, I swear you would do anything that I want, so keep us awake till the dawn. Baby, feel free.
Hello. My name is Darren Smith. I am the Chief Strategy Officer here at Huble Digital. Welcome to our final session of the day for Grow with Inbound. Many of you have been on many of these sessions, and you would have heard this is the third year we're running Grow with Inbound. The first two were real live events. The third one now being a virtual event and a global event. We started around about 8, 9, 10 hours ago in Singapore with our Singapore office, and we've been following the sun the whole day. And you can see I've had to move because I had sun in my face a few minutes ago. As it starts to get evening here, I'm in Cape Town. Dan, who's going to be our speaker up next, is in Chicago speaking on the future of search. So it kind of ends our 15 different sessions we've had today, our 22 different speakers. We've had over 600 people registered for today. It's been an amazing turnout. And if you have been following the Grow 20 hashtag on LinkedIn, you would see that there's been a whole bunch of posts today. You've still got that opportunity to win those earpods. So don't forget anything that Dan says that is really cool and interesting. Go straight onto LinkedIn. Yeah, no pressure, Dan. Quote him, take a picture if you can, hashtag it Grow20, and one of you will be those lucky winners of those Apple AirPods. So without further ado, Dan, over to you.
Greetings. Coming at you from my basement here, the home office in Chicago. I'm about a mile away from our headquarters, but hopefully we'll be back there soon. So I am, even though I'm in Central Standard Time here in Chicago, I have a 3-week-old at home. So I've actually been up throughout the night over here and caught a few of the sessions that most folks stateside are gonna wait for the recording here. So a little bit about me. I've been doing digital marketing, specifically search, for the last 15 plus years. I had a brief stint at Google, started Be Found Online about 12 years ago, and we've been very excited to bring Huble Digital to the United States as of about a month ago. So in terms of today's talk, last bit about BFO, this is our brag slide here. Ad Age named us the #1 best place to work. Been on the Inc. list 6 times in a row, and that's enough about me. Let's talk about the agenda today, because I've got a half an hour here, and I've got a ton of content I'm very excited to share. This presentation is a passion project of mine. I give this talk a couple of times a month, and this PowerPoint deck is always open. I'm always adding things, always changing, trying to keep up with the times and help folks stay ahead of what's next. So first section, talking about the changing SERP, the search engine results page, what we're seeing, what's there today, and how that affects tomorrow. Some trends in terms of what we're seeing with devices across the industry, and then a quick playbook for marketers to kind of go through and some action steps. Throughout this presentation, there will be some exercises with links. So as I'm presenting some information, there's some opportunities for you guys to do some research for the brands that you represent. And of course, this deck's going to be shared. I'm covering a lot of topics here. So if you're able to catch up and catch some screenshots, great. But no need, this will be shared. So with that, I'm going to dive right in. Decoding the SERPs, search engine results page. As a search marketer, we are filled with lingo. I'm filled with lingo. So please feel free to hit up Darren in the chat if I'm speaking Greek or any other language that doesn't resonate. And with that, I'm going to just go in. And this is just my warning. I put it in every presentation. Something in here is going to self-destruct, or there's some slide in the 100+ slides I'm going to be running through in the next half hour that is somewhat out of date. And so I rely on reading a whole lot to stay on top of this stuff, and I also rely on folks keeping me honest. So if you see anything in here that seems outdated or anything to add, I love hearing from you. And I've got a contact slide at the end. Love to hear feedback and any new ideas that I might not have covered. So taking a step back, search is evolving, right? It started out, Google's mission was to get you off of Google. It was a page of blue links. And when we think about the search results today and that landscape, what's fundamentally changed is that it's no longer, Google is no longer all about driving traffic to websites. And as an SEO guy, as a digital marketer, as an agency that is often accountable for driving traffic, there's a fundamental shift in terms of how we need to think about our brands and how we take advantage of and position ourselves within the search results. So looking at breaking down, the SERP in 2020, it is not just, it's not just blue links, right? You have paid ads or organic results peppered throughout. You have the local pack, the knowledge graph. So as marketers, all of these different tactics and all of these different pieces of real estate on the search results page are different tactics and different programs, different things that we need to be thinking about as marketers. And Google, as we think about it, it isn't just a search engine, right? Google is becoming a destination. You can see Google Discover here. I often ask, I give this presentation live or back when we did things live. And a lot of people don't yet know about Google Discover. If you're ever curious about what Google knows about you in terms of the data that they have on your preferences, and check out Discover. It's built into the Google app, and it is basically designed as, this looks like a news feed, right? Like Facebook or LinkedIn, a customized news feed. So Google's trying to become more of a destination. And as we think about it as marketers, and I'm already going to call myself out, this Google Plus logo, something in here is already outdated. But Google's an ecosystem, right? And what the search engine is trying to do, what Google's trying to do, is monetize all the different places within their ecosystem. And as marketers, that presents some new challenges because it's not just about search and it's not just about keywords. And I will say in this presentation, you'll hear Google a lot. Google's not the only game in town. We've got some stats and some stuff around Microsoft advertising, what we're seeing there, Apple, and another big elephant that didn't make it onto this slide, which is Amazon, when we talk about kind of the future of search and where the marketplace is heading. So one of the things, and this was a change last year, you can see the ads in the search results. On the right is the more recent one, where the ads are becoming more native, more in line with the organic results. And when we think about all of the different Google properties, from images, shopping, YouTube, Discover, Google needs to monetize every piece of real estate that they have. So as advertisers, ads are not just in search. Ads are everywhere, and this really needs to shape how marketers think about taking advantage of the Google Ads ecosystem. So a couple of numbers that kind of shape my thinking. One is this 15% number. This article in here is a little bit outdated, but I reaffirmed this number at a recent event, that 15% of searches every day have never been searched before. This blows my mind, right? 15% daily, people are coming up with new ways to search, new search queries. And I think voice and some of these other changes are a part of that. But as marketers and certainly as like an old grizzled search geek, which I like to consider myself, there's no way that you can sit down with spreadsheets as a marketer and come up with every keyword iteration, right? So the reliance on machine learning and AI and putting some trust into Google's matching technologies is essential, right? Because there's no way marketers can come up with everything. Another big number that jumps out at me, and this is a chart from last year. I have not found a recent one from JumpShot, but 50% of searches result in 0 clicks. This is another, as we think about how we're measuring traffic and SEO and paid search, 50% result in 0 clicks. Now, you could take that one or two ways. One, you could say, well, it's low quality search results and people aren't finding what they need, or they're finding what they need and they don't need a click. And we're seeing a whole lot more of that happening. So as brands, we need to think about how do we position ourselves and take advantage of all of these opportunities within Google and Microsoft, and not fully rely on Google as just a traffic source. So some of the things that are shaping that: rich results. So as we're seeing the page not just being about blue links, Google's trying to find relevant information and put it directly in the search results. So you don't necessarily have to, if you're looking for courses, there's structured information, right? Product reviews, events, they have a start date and a start time and ticket information. And so we'll talk a little bit about schema and some of the tactics marketers can do to take advantage of this. But this is really where we're seeing search going, is taking relevant pieces of content and displaying in the search results. So as marketers, this presents challenges and a lot of opportunities. And if we look at just rich answers over 2019, it more than doubled. And we're seeing that trend continue, where Google is trying to present the answer and not just a page of blue links. So here's exercise number 1, and I've got a link in here. I know I'm going to move too fast for you to type this stuff in. Again, this will be shared at the end. But there are tools to measure if your page supports rich results. So as a brand marketer or an agency, if you're looking at this and wondering like, okay, does this work with my brand? Here's an opportunity to kind of test and see how you're positioned in the rich results. Because this is a big part of tracking when we even think about SEO. It's not just about where does my website rank and how many clicks did it drive. It's how much real estate are we taking advantage of as a brand. So you have quick answers, right? Why is the sky blue? There's an answer to that question. And certainly you can see on this, like, people also ask, there's this growing FAQ, and all of that content, or the majority of that content, is pulled from websites and content sites, right? You have some, what happened to the dinosaurs? Not everybody's going to agree on that statement, right? So search engines have a really difficult task of identifying fact versus opinion. Microsoft and Bing, I think, does a really good job of kind of balancing two articles on a controversial question. I really hope coffee is good for me, given the 3-week-old that I have upstairs and the fact that I'm running on caffeine right now. And then you have featured snippets, right? Answering questions. An anecdote I like to share, there was a site called Celebrity Net Worth. When Google started crawling this content and pulling the answer directly into the search results, they lost almost all of their traffic. And this is just yet another reminder to not build your business and rely on only one channel as a traffic source, because it can go away in an afternoon. Something else we're seeing is that shopping is happening everywhere. The term we like to use is immersive commerce. And Google's trying to extend Google Shopping not just as the shopping portal or that tab within Google, but enabling retailers to shop and get their product information out through Gmail, YouTube, display networks. Again, we're seeing ad formats looking a little bit more like social ads, where you pick an objective or an ad type, rather than creating separate campaigns for every piece of real estate, a separate display campaign, a separate YouTube, separate campaign for Gmail. So ads are becoming more responsive as retailers and marketers are trying to take advantage of the full ecosystem with Google. We're seeing Google start to host transactions, and this is another big change. I have a bold prediction that Google at some point will make more money off of monetizing transaction fees than advertising. As they try and move more advertisers, and this is part of their play against Amazon, is to get transactions happening within their platform, right? With Google Wallet and people having trust in the system, and also just reducing friction, right? Nobody likes filling out a credit card application, not application, but filling out your credit card number on mobile. So the more that you can connect, the better, because that's what customers are expecting. And this isn't just about e-commerce. So making reservations, Reserve with Google allows service businesses to accept reservations directly in the search results. Again, driving actions and transactions, which is what businesses want, but not driving clicks and traffic. And that's, again, another one of those big changes we need to stay on top of. So ordering food, making reservations, we're expecting to see more of these actions and opportunities happening directly within the Google Ads platform. And it's not just about e-commerce. There's a whole lot happening supporting local businesses as well. We can see LIA's local inventory ads, where you can find what products are at local retailers. And this is a graph I like to present. You'll see the y-axis is missing. I don't have time to do a full show of hands here, but most of the time people are off by a magnitude of somewhere between 5 and 10. Before pre-pandemic, if we're looking at 2019, about 11% of retail sales happened in e-commerce, which is crazy low as we think about e-commerce, certainly my own purchasing habits. But there's a whole lot happening in the real world that Google and other platforms are trying to support. What this graph doesn't have is the COVID spike, and there's been a fundamental shift in 2020, obviously. But there's still a significant amount of retail sales that are happening in store and not online. Had this graph been labeled as purchases influenced by digital channels, I think we would be looking at 80 or 90%, but there's still a lot that is bought, not on the internet. Beyond Google, this is just a recent market share slide on Google and Microsoft. There's a significant enough share with Microsoft, Bing, and all of their distribution network. Again, just want to rehash, Google is not the only game in town. And certainly as we think about the duopoly of Google and Facebook owning 60 to 80% of most digital ad spends, I believe Amazon is going to be coming after this quickly. Through their acquisition of Seismic last year, Google knows intent better than every other platform. Facebook knows your psychographics better than your psychologist, but Amazon knows what you bought yesterday. And so even for brands that are not necessarily product brands selling within the Amazon marketplace, the data that Amazon has and with their acquisition of Seismic, their ability to buy media on behalf of advertisers, financial services, even B2B, based on purchasing habits within Amazon is going to be a game changer. So the giant is not sleeping, but certainly nowhere close to the market share that I believe they're going to achieve. Walmart also accepting search ads within their ecosystem. Same thing with Facebook. So we're seeing the marketplace growing as more and more competitors are going after Amazon and after Google, both from a marketplace standpoint and from search. Another big shift we're seeing is the marriage of audience and search intent. And so as B2B marketers, there's a lot of challenges in search in identifying who's the right customer, right? The targeting that you get on LinkedIn isn't portable to Google, but there are a number of different ways, whether it's custom audiences, customer match, similar audiences, or doing some conquesting using custom intent audiences to go after competitors. There's a number of ways where search is starting to feel more like display, in that the audience is almost as important as the keywords. Just announced last week, officially, we've been beta testing this for some clients, but the LinkedIn ad targeting is now available within the Microsoft network. We expect the merger, or at least more of these two platforms improving the way that data can be linked. But we can now use B2B targeting within Microsoft advertising from LinkedIn. And we have some fun ways that we've been able to get LinkedIn data onto Google through custom audiences and some other account-based marketing tricks and tools. But again, we're continuing to see the marriage of audience and search intent. We're seeing evolving ad formats. So local campaigns where it's one ad type that is fully built to drive traffic to Google Maps and not to your website. Google's launching a Yelp competitor where there's Google Guaranteed. Initially, this was meant to kind of address spam issues, but it's becoming another ad platform for local businesses. We're starting to see image extensions. So Google's ads are getting more and more visual, and discover campaigns. So for most brands, Google and search lives at the bottom of the funnel. But for someone that's on the YouTube homepage or in Google Discover or in the promo tab of Gmail, they're open to new ideas, right? So leveraging the Google Ads ecosystem to prospect, for demand gen, for getting new customers and awareness for new products. There are a lot of new opportunities there. And of course, Google's gunning after Facebook dollars from a brand awareness standpoint. We're seeing chat ads where customers can engage directly within the search results and chat with customer service. And we're also seeing lead gen forms. So similar to what we've seen on Facebook and LinkedIn, where the lead gen form is actually hosted with the publisher. And again, all of this is moving away from driving traffic to a landing page to get people to fill out forms. So that's what we've seen in terms of the changing landscape of search today. Hopefully there was one or two new bits of information there, and that kind of sets the stage for what's happening next. So let's talk a little bit about the devices. So we're seeing Google versus versus Amazon, right? We're getting a lot of other platforms, Apple, Microsoft. This one on the right is the Ling Long Ding Dong. It is the fastest growing smart speaker in China. But this is becoming pervasive. I included this chart from 2017. We are way off from this prediction in 2020. The actual number is about 25% of households at the end of last year had a smart speaker. And we're seeing, market share, Amazon still has the lion's share. But I believe when we look at Google Assistant and count Android and the reach of Google's platform, Google is far and away ahead of Amazon, just not in the device space. Towards the end of last year, Google or US is still leading. China is where it is fastest growing in terms of market penetration for smart speakers. And currently, people are using these things very simply, checking the weather, listening to music. And as brands, we often think about search and all these channels as customer acquisition. But this is really about customer experience and how consumers are expecting to interact with brands. But it's not just about speakers, right? We're seeing Google assistants built into lamps, thermostats. I've always made a joke about a smart toaster. Amazon has a Amazon Basics microwave. This thing is less than $60. Has a feature they just announced called popcorn replenishment. So when you buy popcorn through Amazon Prime Now, Amazon knows how many bags of popcorn you have, and when you press that popcorn button on your machine, Amazon knows how many bags you've made and can automatically reorder. And so just think about what is available for your brands, even in the B2B space. How do you reduce friction for those repeat customers and connect these types of experiences? So in addition, we're starting to see these smart screen platforms. So I've got a Nest Hub Max in the kitchen. I primarily use it for recipes and calling the grandma. But again, as we think about our websites and how brands need a position on these devices, it's wholly different. Your website isn't going to fit on these screens, right? Facebook is getting in the game with Portal. Google's licensing their smart screen platform to a number of other devices. So we're going to see more and more of these kind of smart screens and these micro interactions that can happen with brands. These are a couple of the opportunities that exist today, building custom themes or rich responses. There's details here in this link. And we're starting to see cars, right? It's a whole other platform or ecosystem with Android Auto and what consumers are expecting when they're searching in cars. And then beyond screens, a lot of people forget Google acquired Fitbit last year. There is what I call like a battle for the body with Google Pixel Buds, AirPods, Microsoft and Amazon are getting in the game. So search is going to happen on our bodies, right? It's going to become, it's not about someone opening up a Chrome browser. And so brands coming up with answers and direct responses and actions are gonna be the ones that win in this new world. And so it's not just about voice and it's not just about text input. Visual search is on the way here. Google Lens, I will say right now, it kind of sucks in that the AI hasn't quite caught up to what the potential will be. It works really well for a few things. If you're standing across the street from a retailer, you can pull up Google Lens and find reviews and menus and hours. It's really great at identifying plants. When it comes to products, it's not quite there yet. I use this example. I did a search for this orange jacket. Those that know me know I love orange jackets. And it came up with Ryan Gosling. These are not the same. So Google's ability to identify products and lead that to a purchase, it is not quite there, but my prediction, 6 to 12 months, the AI will be as advanced. And instead of thinking about image search in regards to getting my pictures to show up in Google Images, it's now going to be getting those images to link to the products that brands are selling. Here's an example. Nordstrom Rack is a great app that can index, sort of match that in-store shopping experience with an online experience. And it's not just about inputs. Kohler has a smart toilet, and you can tell Alexa to flush or change the temperature on your bidet. That has no marketing application, but it's funny, so I included it in this presentation. So a couple of exercises for you to think about. What can you automate for your customers? What inefficient interactions exist that you can enable with this technology? And what experience can your brand deliver without a screen? All right, so talking a little bit about voice search. There's voice search and voice action. And what we've seen is that voice search even though it's kind of the common term we talk about, and I talk about it a lot, is not all that different, right? The query length is slightly longer than text input search, but in a lot of cases, voice search is really just another input to get the same result, which is a website or a piece of information, right? And so what really changes are voice answers, because as we think about the search results, we've made a lot of money for brands getting them to position 4 on Google Organic or ads that are in position 3 for a lower cost. With voice answers, it's Boolean. You either win or you lose. And we're starting to see an increase, a significant increase in the amount of answers or Google's ability and confidence in providing an answer rather than a website and rather than a search result. And so we're starting to see that. Some good news for marketers. This was just comparing those voice answers to the position in desktop search. And so as you would expect, about 39%, 38% are coming from position 1. But if you flip that as marketers, 60% of those voice answers aren't coming from the position 1 ranking in Google. So for brands that are smarter, that can outflank Wikipedia and some of these other websites whose domain strength you're never going to beat, there is an opportunity to win in that voice answer. And about 80% of those are coming from the snippets and those rich results that I talked about at the very front end of the presentation. And it's also important to look by vertical. Very, very different types of search results and answers if you're in automotive versus technology. This link on this slide has a study across, I think, a dozen or 24 verticals from a company based out of the UK. So a lot of ways to do some research on what's relevant for you. Voice actions for brands. So Dialogflow is a platform that enables you to connect Google Assistant to the actual functionality, whether it's booking a hotel, reordering something, checking prices or inventory. So brands now have the ability, without having to build their own bot, to connect their functionality to these virtual assistants. And then you have Google Duplex, which is a layer between Google Assistant and businesses. I've used this where 60% of businesses in the United States that accept reservations, like restaurants and salons, don't have any sort of online booking capability. So Google Duplex will actually call a location, sound like a human, and is able to book and make appointments and reservations on your behalf. And they did give businesses the option to opt out of that because apparently some businesses didn't want to talk to robots all day. And they're also using it to check on inventory and what's in stock for those local inventory ads. So here's some case studies that I've seen. Kayak does a great job of booking. I would never use this functionality for for planning a big family vacation, but certainly for reservations on a business trip, it's oftentimes it's these aggregators that are the first to innovate. You've got European Wax Center, hand-free appointments. Starbucks, you can order your coffee ahead of time through Google Assistant. Bank of America enables you to get banking information without talking to a human. And Domino's doing a lot of innovative things using IFTTT to hook up the ordering process. So when the driver is out for delivery, you could turn on your porch light, or if you're a jerk like me, you could turn on your sprinkler when the driver shows up. But lots of ways to connect commerce to the smart ecosystems that consumers are going to be used to. Uber, highly practical, especially when I'm holding children trying to get out the door. Talking to your dryer, not so much. And so there's always going to be some shiny objects here, but my exercise number 3 for you is to build an action prototype. So Alexa Blueprints, the link here allows you to build a skill and some simple functionality to kind of prototype and show what functionality could look like for your brand. So virtual assistants, we're seeing it across all platforms. There is a battle right now for users. And while all of these platforms are working on how to monetize that, we're seeing an increase in the amount. Google's default on mobile is no longer Google Search, it's Google Assistant. So all of these platforms are moving towards these virtual assistants to drive actions and not just search results. We're seeing an increase in the number of answers that Google Assistant is able to do. And here's a little comparison across platforms that we've seen. So voice commerce often comes up. Would you buy this orange Rolls Royce over voice? Probably not. Toilet paper? Yes. And so, the prediction that voice commerce through voice search and assistance is going to increase significantly. We're not seeing it quite at that 40 billion, but we're expecting to see this, this increase significantly. And right now, it's simple stuff. Low friction purchases like groceries and cleaning supplies. But we believe voice is going to influence even high value purchases throughout the process, even if it's not the final point of transaction. So a couple of tips and tricks related to voice search for business. The Yext platform, it's a local platform that enables brands to manage stuff like business hours across multiple platforms. You can now use voice to change business hours or update holidays or offers. And Google Analytics Intelligence. If you have the Google Analytics app on your phone, you can ask, what was my organic search traffic in February 2020 versus February 2019, and get answers as opposed to pulling spreadsheets and data. All right. So I realize I'm running a little bit over. I'm gonna blow through this last section here with a marketer's action plan. So if you're excited about some of these opportunities, here's what you can do tomorrow to plant a stake in the ground and start learning about how some of these shiny objects can be relevant for your brand. And so first off, I'm a shiny object guy. I like buying new tech tools and trying new things. It's part of my role at BFO and Huble is to help our clients stay ahead of what's next. But don't start with the shiny objects, right? Ask these questions. What are your most used actions and features? What can you automate for your customers? What are your loyal customers ask for, right? It's not likely that a new customer is gonna download an Alexa skill or connect to your account. So what can you do for your loyal customers? Because a lot of these opportunities are about customer experience, not just about customer acquisition. What can you do to promote repeat purchase behavior? And what do you waste time on with your call center or repeat questions from your customers that you could automate with the chatbot or a Google Assistant skill? So phone a friend. Start by looking at Google Assistant library. Amazon Alexa has a skill library as well. Look at competitors, look at aggregators. Get the party started by copying or picking up where someone else has left off. Caesars Entertainment asked us for a voice strategy, and the first thing we did is we looked at other resorts and entertainment properties that had already built prototypes, and that gave us a great kickstart in understanding what's possible. So you have a number of other resources. Answer the Public BuzzSumo question analyzer tool. I love Answer the Public. It is super simple. They have a paid tool as well. But it helps you build sort of this word cloud around what are people asking relative to your brand. Questions, prepositions. Where this data comes from is Google's suggestion. When you start typing in something in the Google box and they give you 3 to 5 other "are you searching for?" This platform is just crawling that. And that's using Google's data to understand like what are people actually searching for related to your brand and product comparisons. And so the question analyzer tool, it looks at Reddit, Yahoo Answers. Again, start with, before you build an FAQ, figure out what people are asking about. So that's kind of the final homework exercise coming out of this presentation. And just a few other things. Listen to your call center. You know, there's probably a lot of questions and keywords and data that you could build a strategy around. And analyze your chatbots, right? What are people asking in the HubSpot chat tool? And how can you fulfill that by creating content around those questions? Optimizing your local data. A big part of when we're seeing voice search on mobile and search on mobile has local intent. So in a lot of cases, good SEO and good local SEO is good SEO for the future of search. Building out FAQs and frequently asked question content. This was, Google has actually built structured data and schema specifically for FAQs. And this is, every website 10, 15 years ago had an FAQ, and it sort of went away. But there's a huge opportunity, especially with quick answers, to position that FAQ content in the search results. We need to think about optimizing all your digital assets, your podcasts, videos, images. Search is not just about words and meta tags and text on your website. And getting in on schema. There's very few things Google says explicitly they want you to do, but using schema and structured data so that Google can understand your content and have a higher confidence to present you in voice answers and on these new devices and interfaces. Schema is good SEO today, and it is also what's going to build for tomorrow. And just connecting everywhere. A lot of retail brands want to host every transaction. But whatever you can do to reduce friction and help your customers buy wherever they want to buy is going to help. And then connecting apps and functionality. Think about the simple interactions that your customers want with your brand. And that, my friends, I'm a few minutes over on time, but that is the future of search. What's now? What's next? A lot of content in there. Again, happy to share this presentation so you can dive into anything that that was interesting. You can find me on Twitter, The Golden Dan, LinkedIn. I can be found online. It's not just a clever name. And thank you all for the time.
Oh, thank you, Dan. That was amazing. And I did think you were optimistic when you told me how many slides you had to present today. I did see that there are a couple of questions that have come through. But what we'll do is, in the interest of time, we will answer those questions. We'll get directly back to those people rather than answering now in the webinar. For those of you that are wondering, we will be sharing all the slide decks from today, all the recordings on Monday. So look out for the email for all the different slide decks there. You guys have really been an awesome audience today. Dan, you've been an awesome last presenter today, and we really appreciate it. We've been going, I think, for around about 12 hours now, back-to-back conferences, webinars, and you know, when I've been watching the participants on all of these webinars today, everybody's kind of stayed on and stayed engaged. In particular, I'd like to thank the lady that woke up at 4 a.m. so she could catch my presentation this morning. And as you can see on the screen at the moment, just one last reminder that you can win those Apple AirPods. All you need to do is post something that you've learned today with a picture with the hashtag Grow20 on LinkedIn. We'll be looking at those in the next few hours and picking out a kind of lucky winner to get your Apple AirPods. So with that, I would like to close today. We have really achieved an amazing thing, going from Singapore across Cape Town, where I am now, into London, Dublin, Boston, and Chicago, across many time zones, 15 amazing presentations, 22 amazing speakers. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Look out on your email for our next set of events, and of course, Grow with Inbound next year. Thanks so much, and goodbye.